There's a 76-year-old man I know who's absolutely miserable. He's worked hard his entire life. He has money, but he's utterly unhappy. He has moments of happiness, but he's more emotional than he's ever been. He's never showed emotion before, but now he's weepy. He won't have anything to do with people who want relationships with him. And the people he desires to have relationships with avoid him. And while this may not be showing up this drastically in your life, this man's problem is probably stealing joy from you right now, too. In fact, it isn't just stealing your joy, it's likely stealing your profits as well. Because your past isn't telling you the truth about what's possible for your future. Today is July 4th, Independence Day. We celebrate the freedom that we have in America. But what if I told you there's another kind of freedom that most people never experience? A freedom that can transform not just your happiness, but your business success too. You see, most people are prisoners to their past. They let yesterday's pain control tomorrow's profit. But here's a secret that can set you free. It's counterintuitive, but your future can actually reshape your past. Yes, you heard me correctly. Your future can actually reshape your past. Not only that, it can actually reshape your present too. Here's what's happening to that 76-year-old man, and probably to you in some way. Your past is whispering lies about your future. Every failure, every disappointment, every time someone let you down, your brain files all those away as evidence of what's possible. But here's the problem. Your brain is a terrible fortune teller. When you started your business, maybe you had a client who didn't pay. So your past says clients don't pay. And when you try to delegate and someone dropped the ball, your past says no one can do it as well as I can. And when you took a risk and it didn't work out, your past says playing it safe is better. Now, these aren't facts about your future. They're just stories you're telling yourself because of your past. But it gets worse. Those grudges that you're carrying, they're not just stealing your joy, they're actually stealing your mental energy. Every time you replay that conversation with the difficult client, every time you think about the business partner who betrayed you, every time you rehearse how someone wronged you, that's mental bandwidth that you could be using to build your future. You have a finite amount of mental energy every day. And when you actually spend that reliving yesterday's pain, you have nothing left for the possibilities of tomorrow. It can be easy to let yesterday's wounds become today's walls. And that 76-year-old man, he's built a fortress of past hurts around himself. And he can't see the relationships right in front of him because he's too busy protecting himself from relationships that ended decades ago. His past has convinced him that isolation is safer than vulnerability. But that kind of safety, it's not success. And that type of protection is definitely not productive. Now, here's where it gets interesting because the past is what happened, but your future can actually shape your past. Wait, what? What does that even mean? Well, there were events that occurred in your past, but the question is, how do you perceive those events? Let me tell you about a man named Joseph. Joseph was thrown into a pit to be left for dead by his brothers, but then they decided to make some money and they sold him into slavery. He lived a hard life, even as God was with him. He was wrongfully accused and put in prison. But later, when he was second in command in Egypt, his brothers came to Egypt for some food. And he said something remarkable. What you meant for evil, God meant for good. Joseph could have looked at his past and felt defeated and stayed stuck. But he knew the dream that he had when he was a young man. He knew the dream was from God and he was clear on his future. If he was seeing his past from the typical lens, he could have actually missed what God had in store for him. But since he was clear on his future, he looked at his past in such a way that he was able to forgive his brothers. If he hadn't, he likely wouldn't have had the success and the respect that he achieved. Here's the key. Forgiveness is not about them. It's about freeing your mind. When Joseph forgave his brothers, he wasn't saying what they did was okay, but he was choosing to see his past through the lens of his future purpose. And that betrayal actually took Joseph to Egypt, where God wanted to use him. When you let go of your past hurts, you create space for vision and possibility. Your mental energy stops going backwards and starts going forward. Freedom from the past equals freedom to build the future that you actually want. And the great thing is you don't have to reframe your past first. You can actually focus on your future by recognizing that your past and your present do not dictate your future. As you continue to focus on your future, you'll automatically be able to reframe your past. So, how do you actually do this? How do you stop letting your past control your future and start letting your future reshape your past? Well, it starts with getting crystal clear about what you actually want your future to look like. Most people spend more time planning their weekend than planning their life. They can tell you exactly what went wrong 5 years ago, but they have no idea what they want to accomplish in the next 2 years. But here's what happens when you let your clear future goals override your past programming. When you know exactly where you're going, your brain starts looking for ways to get there instead of reasons of why it can't. You can think about it this way. If I told you to drive to a specific address across town, you put in your GPS and you follow the directions. You wouldn't spend the entire drive thinking about every wrong turn you've ever made in your life. You'd focus on the next turn and the next mile and the destination ahead. But somehow, when it comes to our lives and businesses, we keep staring in the rearview mirror while we're trying to drive forward. Tomorrow's dreams need to drive today's decisions. When you're clear about the business that you want to build, the relationships that you want to have, the impact that you want to make, those future goals start influencing your present choices. Instead of asking, what if this doesn't work like last time? You start asking, what would somebody who has already achieved my goal do in this situation? Now, this is a little brain bending, but as you consider what you want your future to look like, don't actively limit yourself based on your past or your present. Don't assume something is not possible just because you've never done it. Don't assume something is not possible just because you don't know how to accomplish it. But you have to decide what it is that you really desire. I mean, really desire. Then you ask yourself, how can you get there? Don't get caught up in a bunch of unimportant steps along the way. I mean, this is Independence Day, and today we're celebrating freedom from the British rule. But what if today you decide to declare freedom from yesterday's failures? What if you decide that your past mistakes don't get a vote in your future success? I mean, that's real independence. That's the freedom that transforms not just your happiness, but your profits as well. And if you're committed to a new future, make a commitment and leave a comment. Your past does not have to define you. So leave a comment as a step of commitment of what you're wanting to do in the future. So don't let the story of that 76-year-old man be your story. I mean, it doesn't have to be his story. And hopefully he'll make a decision to look for a better future. You have a choice to make today. You can keep letting yesterday's pain control tomorrow's profit, or you can do what Joseph did. You can get clear on your future and let that vision reshape how you see your past. Your past is not your fortune teller. Those failures, those disappointments, those people who let you down, they're just data points. They're not your destiny. When you focus on the future that you really want, you create a space for forgiveness. And when you forgive, you actually free up mental energy for building instead of fretting. When you build from your future vision, you transform not just your business, but your life. So on this Independence Day, declare freedom from yesterday's limitations. Get crystal clear on what you want your future to look like. Then start making decisions today that align with your future, not your past. And if you're committed to this future, make a commitment and leave a comment. Your past does not have to define you. So leave a comment as a step of commitment about what you're wanting to do in your future. And if you're ready to learn how to actually build that freedom, you can watch this video next. I'll break down exactly how to escape the hustle trap and build a business that gives you your life back. So click here and watch it now. And I'll see you in the next video.